Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's session on growing your business with social media advertising. And thank you for taking the time and being here today. My name is Denise. I'm the VP of Marketing here at Gelato, and I'm joined by our expert speaker, Colby. He's the founder of BrightClick, a growth agency that specializes in creative and paid media strategy. So very well placed to speak on the subject. So welcome, Colby. BrightClick partners with startups and scale-ups like ourselves here at Gelato. And outside of managing over 25 million in ad spend, which is probably not a number any one of us on this call will get to in the immediate future, Colby and the team also received 8 marketing awards last year alone, which is almost more than I've gotten in my entire 2-decade career in marketing. So I'm also looking for some tips and tricks here, Colby, as we get stuck into the session. So a couple of housekeeping bits before we get started. As you saw, the session is being recorded and we'll make it available after the event by email, and as well, it'll be on gelato.com. We also send around the presentation materials. So you can keep notes or just sit back and relax. Also, we'd love to hear from you. So I feel like we've successfully kicked off the chat and where we're from. So please keep adding your general comments in there, and we can give another couple of country shout outs later. Like I said, I'm currently dialing in from not so sunny Berlin, and Colby is joining us from Raleigh in North Carolina. Not sure if I said that right, actually, but I hope I did.
That was good. Yep.
Thanks. For any topical questions, please use the Q&A button though, and we will answer them at the end of the session in about 20 or so minutes. Cool. So for any of us that are still joining us, welcome. You've joined the webinar on ice cream making. Just kidding. So we're here to talk about the benefit of social media advertising for print and production on demand businesses. And to kick us off on this topic and also make sure that we're speaking to your expertise, we'd like to start with a little poll to find out if you're currently already advertising on social, and if so, on which platform. So we'll open up now and we'll give it about 15 seconds or so for you. Great. Okay, so super interesting to see that over half of you are already advertising on social media, with looks like Facebook and Instagram are the front runners here. So we might already have some experts in the room, but Colby, I think to get your point of view, why is it so important to advertise on social media for on-demand businesses?
Yeah, that's a great question, Denise. And throughout this call, we'll kind of stay super high level with things and just look at the big picture. I mean, if we're looking at social media advertising versus traditional marketing, social media gives you an opportunity to connect directly with your audience, more so than just putting out ads in front of them. You can actually engage with them in the comments, get feedback, and listen to your audience to see what is working and what is not. And that helps you test your messaging and your products, which is super important for production on demand businesses. You can see what designs or what product types people do or don't like. And it's a lot more cost effective. You can make decisions in real time, day to day, versus having to wait for, long-term data coming in from traditional advertising platforms. So it gives you a lot of nimble ability to pivot and a lot of good customer interaction.
And there's obviously a host of social media platforms out there, each with their native formats and needs. And so before we take a look at each of them, it's time for another audience poll to keep you on your toes. So which one do you in the audience think currently rates highest in terms of budget investment for e-commerce businesses?
Facebook, Instagram, with TikTok coming in at 26%. Okay.
Oh, super interesting.
What we're going to look at is going to be data from a platform called Northbeam. Now, Northbeam is like Triple Whale or High Rose. It's a third-party tracking tool that allows people to have data outside of the platform. Out of all the e-commerce companies running with their tool, they show that 69% of budget goes towards Facebook, Instagram. Facebook and Instagram are a great place for businesses to scale, to find new customer acquisition for people that may not fully be actively looking for your products. Google ads coming in at 23%. Google is great because there's high intent behind the people finding your ads. They're actively searching for, hopefully actively searching for what you're finding, as long as your keyword targeting is correct, and are a lot more likely to convert on your website. Pinterest ads coming in at 1%. Pinterest, not a huge part of the budget, but Pinterest is a great place for print on demand or production on demand in specific, because people are making mood boards of things like interior design or, trips that they want to take. And this can be a great opportunity for people to put your actual products in their boards and then, potentially purchase. Microsoft coming in at 1%. Microsoft tends to be more of a B2B opportunity because, a lot of times when you get a laptop from your work, it comes auto-installed with certain software or certain browsers, and Bing is normally the default there. Maybe some advances with ChatGPT coming soon. YouTube ads, great. If we're looking at just getting started with paid media though, maybe wouldn't suggest going towards YouTube just because there is a lot of variables at play with the creative that needs to be done there. TikTok coming in at 4%. Now, everybody has opinions, and unfortunately during this call, you have to listen to just mine, but I think that TikTok has a high likelihood of getting banned in the United States, where I'm from. There's a lot of progression going on with a bill that got passed, and our government speaking with other governments, and a lot of politics stuff that is outside of my realm of expertise. On top of that, the algorithm is very new on TikTok, so it can be difficult for people to scale effectively. So with all of that, we're really going to focus today on Facebook, Instagram, and just what opportunities that we have there.
And I think just following on, especially as we talk about YouTube and investment in creative, obviously TikTok can also be a very time-intensive channel when it comes to content generation. Reflecting, I actually had to close a brand TikTok channel once because it became too big and time-intensive to manage. And as we know, kind of going into channels is like a marriage, which getting divorced is very painful and doesn't look great. So not something I recommend. So now we know the focus channels that we're going to speak about. Could you walk us through the steps of how to create an effective social media ad campaign, knowing that most of us will be doing this without the help of an agency like yours, and getting started on a blank sheet of paper might feel a little daunting?
Yeah, of course. And, from a high level, we'll go through the process, and, we'll start with budgeting. I'm not going to give you any recommendations on minimum maximums. I will just say, you can understand your revenue goals and work backwards by understanding the number of sales that you would need based on your average order value, right? Let's say you want to make $100. I'm not great at math, and your average order value is $10. You would need 10 sales, right? Meta recommends that you should get 50 conversions per week from one single campaign. So if it's costing you $10 to get a purchase on Meta, that means you would need to be spending $500 per week. Is my math right there, Denise? Am I 50 times 10? I think that's 500 there. And then one thing that I will say as a full disclosure, as you're going into the world of listening to other courses or talking to agencies and stuff, spending more does not always mean you're going to get better results. You can spend too low, but just the answer of we need more budget without clear reason why or what you're going to do with the budget does not mean that you're going to get better results. Honestly, the most important thing you can do as a business owner is learn the platform, learn the KPIs that we're going to be talking about on the call today, so that you can understand why there is poor performance, and that way you can guide your budget. If you're making under $700K annually in your business, I would highly recommend that you're running your own ads, because there's a lot of things you need to figure out, like messaging and product selection as well. So once you have your budget mapped out, you're going to go into your first phase of, building out a campaign. And we're going to look at building out your audience or messaging through analysis. So if you're trying to figure out what your audience or who your audience is, some key areas that you can look at is Google Analytics data. If you already have that for your website, look at the demographics and interest in the Google Analytics breakdown. You can look at paid media targetings if you've already run ads. For people that have not run ads, great things that you can do is go and do actual customer research. So look at reviews from competitors, Amazon listings, Reddit threads. I'll go ahead and warn you, Reddit is very unfiltered, but it has a lot of good information as well, but very unfiltered. Social media comments, understand the customer's wants and desires, like really focus on what things that they're saying and saying most frequently that causes them to want these goods, right? They don't often want the tangible good. They want the feeling or emotion behind it. You can do competitor research. One key thing that we do is going into your competitor's ad library on Facebook and looking at the creative styles that they're doing or the messaging that they have in their ad copy. Run that across 3 or 4 competitors and look for commonalities. Oftentimes you'll notice they're running similar types of creatives that way. And then look at creative trends. You know, TikTok has a creative library that they show current trending. There's social listening tools out there as well, or just, you know, creative tools like Meet Adbox that you can use. Once you have gone through and done audience and competitor research and feel like you understand common things that people are saying within, you know, the reviews and comments, start to look for those themes that you can map out. So some common ones that that you may find in reviews or comments: product quality. Are people raving or complaining about that? Are people talking about, you know, life-changing events that may be happening? Like, what life events can be tied to the purchase of your product? Is somebody trying to celebrate a graduation or, you know, move into a new home? Like, what is happening there, right? Some additional messaging types that you can do: social proof. Everybody loves UGC. As you get into paid media, you're going to hear that term more than anything else. Limited time offers. And abandoned cart messaging as well, right? So look at mapping out different creative or messaging types that you can go with that way. And then you get to go into actually building out your campaign structures. Now, we're in 2023 at the time of recording this. For anybody that goes back and watches this later, because this will be available, I'll say even more defined, it's March of 2023, because things change very frequently on Facebook ads. But the way that it is currently at, quote unquote, best practice is to consolidate things in your account. If we're talking 2017, 2018, it was all about being super defined with your audiences, you know, 200,000 audience here, 100,000 audience here. But oftentimes things that make sense in marketing don't make sense with Facebook ads. And this is an example. Now with your campaign structures, you want to go into wide audiences. And what I mean by that is you can consolidate your structure to where you set up a campaign and you have a wide open audience. That way you're just targeting age, gender, and location. In a second ad set, you can do an interest stack where you're looking at different interest clusters of 40 to 50 plus million people, depending on your country. I'm speaking, you know, from the United States. And then broad lookalike audiences. For anybody that's not aware, a lookalike audience is, you know, you give Facebook or Meta a customer list and then tell it, I want people similar to that on a scale of 1 to 10% in closeness. The broader you get, you know, the higher on that scale, the quote unquote less likely they may be. But you're going to look at doing 10% lookalike audiences of things like add to cart or purchase from your events on your website. So you're going to look at setting up broader audiences in one single campaign with 4 to 5 ads running in each one. And then one thing that I will really call out that is super important for Facebook ads now is creative testing. You should always, I'll say it some more for drama, always have a creative testing campaign running. And ideally, you are spending about 10% of your daily budget just on creative testing. When you need new creative, you don't want to have to figure out what creative you're going to put in your campaigns, right? So at any given time, you should be testing out about 5 creatives, and you want to find the winners in that campaign. Now, there's some really nitty gritty details we could go over of moving them into the consolidated campaign, but we'll save that for another webinar time. Main thing is just to really focus on always be testing in your account to make sure you understand what creative is working and what creative is not. And this is just a little explanation. If anybody would like to take a screenshot or go back later and watch this of, the clarifications on those audiences that we are looking at running in the account. And that's going to be the main things that you really want to do setup wise in the account.
I also want to add, as I said, it can obviously be daunting if you're just starting out and you're like, okay, creative ad messaging, where do I start? And I would really say, AI at the moment is your best friend. I'm sure a lot of you have got a love relationship with Chat GPT, like me. I pretty much use it for everything in life. But now there's also the AI image generator on Canva, or there's actually a Microsoft Design AI feature that actually creates creative, so to speak. Some good, some not so good. But it's always a great place to start. So you're not end up sitting in a room going, okay, now I have to come up with a amazing headline from my business. So I encourage you to check those out. So thank you, Colby, for running us through this. We touched on it in the beginning of the 25 million ad spend that you're managing. And of course, advertising comes with a budget commitment and the sky's the limit. So can you walk us through the key metrics to track and measure to ensure we have a successful campaign and a good return of investment, whatever size that might be?
Yeah, of course. And as I shared, if you're grossing or bringing in under 600,000 a year for your business, I would highly, highly recommend that you are running your own ads. Learn the platform so you can properly manage a freelancer or an agency in the future. We're going to treat this, and I made a kind of a simplified down version of the user journey because there are some additional steps like checkout initiated. But we're just going to picture this like it is an actual roadmap or user journey. And when you're looking at your account data, if you set it up in this order, you can make sure that you are finding the key bottlenecks that are really the opportunities to focus on. We're going to go through each of these step by step. But first thing is, we're really looking at social media ad. Are we driving people to the website at a low enough cost to where we can still be profitable in the end? With the landing page, are we losing too many customers before they experience the website? Add to cart, are we getting the proper amount of people to add things to the cart, once again, so that we can stay profitable? And does our purchase conversion rate sit at a level that is high enough to bring in proper cost per acquisition? We're going to break it down piece by piece and start with the social media ad. So some of the key vanity metrics that you'll be looking at: click-through rate, cost per click, cost per 1,000 impressions, and frequency. There are obviously some other ones as well, but we're going to focus on kind of the ones that are at the front there. So click-through rate. Can we drive more than 1% of impressions to click the link to go to the website? If your creative is bringing in, a 0.2% click-through rate or a 0.3% click-through rate, you can see that something is not right. Something is not resonating with your audience. It may be that your creative is not flashy or appealing enough. It may be that your messaging doesn't hit home with them. And oftentimes when you have a low click-through rate, you'll have a high cost per click, right? So if not a lot of people are clicking, when someone finally does, it's expensive. And if your cost per click gets too high, you're building a wall, right? And you can do one of two things. You can pay more to get more people over it, or you can put in new creative to break that down and lower your cost per click, right? So can we get people to click to the website at $1 or less and a cost per 1,000 impressions? Ideally, and we're talking all in USD here, by the way, can we show our ads to the platform to receive 1,000 impressions for $7 to $15 or less? Now, one key thing to call out, these metrics we're looking at: click-through rate 1%, cost per click $1 or less, cost per 1,000 impressions $7 to $15. These are all going to be for conversion objective campaigns. You can crush all of these metrics with a traffic campaign or an engagement campaign, but they're not going to bring you the conversions that you're looking for. One other metric that we'll look at on the ad level is frequency. Okay, so frequency is the average number of times that people are seeing your ad. And when it starts to get too high, you'll have, what you call a burnout. I mean, let's just think about it in your experience. If you keep seeing an ad over and over, and it didn't resonate with you the first 3 times, is something going to magically change and make you click on it? Probably not, right? And your costs are going to start rising. So can we get people to the landing page or to click to the landing page at a good cost? From there, we're looking at, can we have a good landing page view percentage? As you get into running Facebook ads, you'll see it's not 100% rate. People that click the link on Facebook or Instagram, not all 100% of those people are going to make it to experience the website. There's drop off that can happen there. It could be from slow load speed on your website. It could be your ad placement and people are swiping for a date on, an app and they accidentally click on your ad by accident. Like, things can happen, right? Ideally, you want to have at least 80% or more of link clicks turn into landing page views. And if you're at 78, 79%, not a top priority. But if you're at 40, 50%, this is something you definitely want to look at, because you're paying to get people to go to the website and the bucket is leaking before they can actually experience it. So are we getting them there for a good cost? Are we actually getting them to the website to experience it? If we haven't hit any bottlenecks yet, what does our website conversion data look like? Are people adding to cart? So ideally, we want to have 5 to 7% of people who viewed the landing page add something to their cart, right? In theory, this data can be higher than just organic traffic because there's intent, because they chose to click an ad, right? If you have good ad level metrics and you have good landing page view percentage, but you have poor add to cart percentage, there's things that you can start looking at. Does the creative on the ad channel match the look of the website? Does my messaging tell a good brand story? If there's not alignment there, there's something called loss of scent trail, and people may have clicked for one experience in your ad, maybe some fun UGC, and then you have a stiff, rigorous, corporate looking website. People are going to get confused about what's happening there, right? If you have a good metrics on the platform, you have good landing page view percentage, if you have good add to cart rate, but your purchase percentage is low, right? If you have a 6% add to cart rate, but a 1% purchase rate, there's something happening in that shopping experience that needs to be looked at. Ideally, your abandoned cart rate is going to be around 67% or lower. If it's super high, there's something happening in that shopping experience. Could be that you have astronomical shipping cost. It could be, that prices are too high. I mean, there's a lot of different things. We're not going to go into super high detail here. But at the end of the day, when you can look at the entire journey like it is a step-by-step roadmap, you can check off which areas are priority and which areas are not, so that you can really focus your time and attention with things that are going to move the needle for you.
Thank you for breaking that down for us, Colby. I know we live in the time of too much data. So, and I think especially as you get started, really focusing in on those key ones is super important. With an eye on the time, I'd love to switch over to answer some of the Q&As, and I do believe we have one for you. So how do we define one unique creative design and content? And for how long should we evaluate the ads for optimization?
That's a great question. So how do we define a unique piece of content is the question, like design style wise? Yeah, what I will say is this: when you're looking on competitors' social media ads, you'll see common trends in the structures that they're using. For example, if you go to, let's just say Built Basics or Cut Clothing or a company like that, you can tell who we do research on. You will see that, with some of Cut's Clothing or Built Basics images, they have what I call like 3-panel. It's going to be 3 skinny images with different pictures of models in clothing. That's a structure. The content that you're putting in it is ultimately up to your brand and your product focus, but that is a structure. Same thing with, you'll see a 50-50 split vertically down the image. On the left side is going to be just a single color. On the right side is going to be a picture of someone wearing the clothing, and then there's going to be the product flat laid and laid over top of both of, the picture and the color. That's something we call a product flat lay combo. That's a creative structure, right? So you're looking for the design structures like that. How long do you run it for? Everybody has their own opinions on best practices here, and it's really relative. I personally would say, let creative run for at least 3 to 5 days. It really, really depends on how much you're spending and what your target cost per acquisition is. So I can't give you a definite answer there, but what I can say is use, common sense with it. If it's spent 3 times your desired cost per acquisition and nothing's happening, just, turn it off. But hopefully that helps.
Thank you very much. I know we have 2 more minutes, so let's try and answer this one. Maybe just there's obviously some common mistakes that businesses make when it comes to social media advertising. So if you had to pick like one key pitfall and how we can avoid it, what would it be?
Yeah, I would say, I'm going to keep going back to creative. You've heard me say it a lot. It's not prioritizing testing creative enough. Honestly, that is the biggest issue with Facebook ad accounts in 2023, is relying on old creative or old types of creative that have performed in the past and not breaking boundaries and testing new ideas and new things. You have to prioritize putting aside around 10% of your budget in your account, test out creative, find new things that work, and keep doubling down or iterating on those things.
Right. Thank you, Colby. Sadly, we're out of time. 30 minutes goes very fast. But thank you for answering those questions and for the great presentation. And thank you so much to all of you for attending. It was a pleasure to have you with us. Hopefully, we've given you as good an overview of how to get started in social media advertising as is possible in 30 minutes. But make sure you check out the resources section on gelato.com for more general information. And also stay tuned for the next webinars coming in April. Related to today's session, if you have any follow-on questions, we have an email address set up, so ask.webinars@gelato.com. So please feel free to reach out there or hit up Colby or myself via LinkedIn, as we always love to hear your feedback. So thanks so much for your time, and I'm wishing you a wonderful rest of your day and week, whether it's sunny or raining, whether in Canada or in Hilversum. Thank you so much.